The image most people remember lasts only a few minutes. Thousands of lanterns rising into a black sky above Chiang Mai. But that famous moment is almost a trick of memory because Yi Peng is not really a single release at all. It is a slow transformation of an entire city. It begins in daylight, in ordinary streets, with bamboo frames, folded paper, flower sellers, temple courtyards, traffic barriers, food smoke, and volunteers moving through the old town before most visitors even realize the festival has started. And that is exactly what makes Yi Peng different. What looks like a dream from far away is, up close, an enormous act of coordination, history, symbolism, and community identity built over generations in northern Thailand. In Chiang Mai, that transformation feels especially cinematic. The old city moat, Tha Phai Gate, Ratcha Damnoen Road, temple compounds, and the Ping River all become part of the same visual story. By the time Yi Peng reaches its peak, the city is no longer just a backdrop. It becomes the stage, the lantern gallery, the processional route, the marketplace, and the memory machine that sends those famous images around the world. For the 2026 season, Chiang Mai will once again host both citywide celebrations and organize lantern release events, including the well-known Chiang Mai Cad Khom Loi event scheduled for November 24th and 25. But the real experience is much bigger than a ticketed release. It is the meeting point of local tradition, northern identity, and global fascination. To understand Yi Peng, you have to go back long before the drone shots and travel videos. According to widely accepted historical accounts, the festival grew out of the old Lanna world of northern Thailand, a region with its own political history, artistic style, and calendar traditions. Some historians trace its roots to the Lanna kingdom, which flourished from the 13th to the 18th century, and some accounts suggest even older connections to the Haripanjaya culture, centered in what is now Lumpun. The exact origin is debated, but most historians agree that Yi Peng is distinctly northern, not simply a generic Thai festival. Even the name points to that calendar system. Yi refers to the second month in the old Lanna lunar reckoning, and Peng refers to the full moon day. And yet most international viewers first encounter Yi Peng through another festival entirely. In modern Chiang Mai, Yi Peng is closely intertwined with Loi Krathong, the nationwide Thai festival in which decorated floating offerings are placed on water. The two are different in origin and emphasis, but in northern Thailand they usually happen at the same time because the calendars align. One widely used way to explain the contrast is simple. Loi Krathong moves downward toward rivers and water. Yi Peng moves upward into the sky. In Chiang Mai, those two directions meet in the same nights. You can see candles glowing on the Ping River while lanterns rise elsewhere into the air. That overlap is one reason outsiders often merge the two festivals in their minds, even though locals understand the difference. Why is it celebrated? In neutral documentary terms, Yi Peng marks a moment in the lunar calendar and has long been associated with the transition out of the rainy season into the cooler, clearer part of the year. Historically, participants have understood the lantern release as a symbolic act of letting go of misfortune, difficulty, or emotional burden from the previous year. For many communities, the festival also developed within Buddhist practice in northern Thailand, where temples became centers for observances, lantern displays, almsgiving, and community gatherings. Over time, that meaning expanded. Today, Yi Peng is at once seasonal, cultural, visual, social, and for many participants, deeply personal. But the real story begins here. Even when people gather for the same event, they may all be carrying different meanings into the night. Who celebrates it now is part of what makes Chiang Mai so compelling during Yi Peng. Local families prepare with the confidence of repetition. Temple communities organize observances and displays. Artisans build lantern frames, stitch decorations, and shape krathong from banana leaves. Street vendors, drivers, musicians, costume makers, guides, and market sellers all become part of the festival economy. Local officials manage traffic, lighting, zones, and safety. Students volunteer, performers rehearse. Hotels fill with domestic travelers and foreign visitors chasing the image they have already seen online. And then there are the organized private events designed specifically for international audiences, where the lantern release is carefully timed and staged. So when you watch Yi Peng in 2026, you are not watching one crowd. You are watching many different Chiang Mai's share the same city at once. Days before the peak night, the preparations start to become visible. Paper lanterns appear in front of houses, guest houses, cafes, and shop fronts. Decorative archways go up along festival streets. Market stalls begin stocking candles, incense, flowers, krathong, snacks, and white paper lanterns. At temple grounds, workers arrange hanging lanterns and rows of small clay lamps. Volunteers check routes, barriers, and lighting. In the old city, traffic patterns change and pedestrian areas begin to dominate. What most people never notice from the final photos is the amount of manual work behind the softness of the finished image. Folding, tying, wiring, stacking, hanging, and sweeping. Yi Peng looks light and weightless when it is done. But before sunset, it is a festival built out of labor, timing, and repetition. On the event day itself, morning in Chiang Mai feels almost misleadingly calm. Light falls softly across the old city walls and temple roofs. The Phi Gate stands in its familiar reddish brick, and for a few hours the city can still look like an ordinary tourist morning. But then the signs start appearing. Volunteers carry bundles of lanterns. Florists arrange marigold garlands, orchids, and lotus blooms. Small stalls begin setting up near the moat and along key roads. Brass lamps, folding tables, bamboo frames, and stacks of paper forms show up in courtyards and roadside spaces. Around the Ping River, krathong sellers begin shaping their displays. In temple compounds, visitors arrive earlier than usual with flowers and candles. Nothing feels rushed, yet everything is clearly moving towards something larger that has already started long before the official beginning. By late morning and afternoon, the crowd changes the city's rhythm. Local residents in everyday clothes move alongside visitors dressed more carefully for the evening. Some people wear modern outfits. Others choose traditional Lanna-inspired clothing, silk or cotton sin skirts, shawls, fitted blouses, embroidered shoulder cloths, soft cream or white tones, and occasional gold details that catch the light without looking theatrical. Men may wear simple northern-style shirts, wrapped cloth, or neatly tailored festival attire. Younger people often mix traditional pieces with contemporary fashion, and that detail matters because Yi Peng today is not a frozen museum scene. It is a living festival where heritage and modern self-presentation meet in the same frame. And that is where things become more interesting, because even the clothes tell you whether the night is about family memory, civic pride, or global image. As afternoon moves forward, the visual language of Yi Peng becomes richer. Hanging lanterns decorate temple entrances and streets. Rows of small lamps begin to appear along walkways and courtyard edges. In some areas, the most important visual elements are not the sky lanterns at all, but the static ones. Lanterns suspended under eaves, lantern clusters strung across roads, and clay lamps placed in careful patterns on the ground. Chiang Mai's landmarks help organize those visuals. The Phi Gate becomes a natural gathering point. The old moat reflects evening light. Temple compounds such as Wat Chedi Luang and the area around Wat Pan Tao become especially atmospheric because lanterns and candles interact so beautifully with teak, brick, and darkening stone. The city does not simply host the festival, it teaches the eye how to read it. And then there is the food, because no real city festival in Thailand exists only as ceremony or spectacle. By late afternoon, the streets around festival zones begin to smell like charcoal smoke, frying batter, grilled meat, coconut, and herbs. Vendors sell Northern Thai staples and festival-friendly snacks, skewers, grilled sausage, sweet desserts, crispy bites, fruit, drinks, and simple plates that can be eaten while standing in a crowd. In Chiang Mai, food stalls are more than convenience. They are social anchors. Families pause there. Tourists regroup there. Teenagers hover near them. Locals who are not joining the lantern release still become part of the night through the marketplace. This is one of those details viewers often miss. The festival sky may be the symbol, but the festival street is what gives Yi Peng its temperature, smell, noise, and human scale. The objects people carry tell another story. Some hold krathong made from banana leaves, flowers, candles, and incense for water-based observances. Some carry candles alone. Some hold bouquets of lotus or marigolds. Others carry kom loi, the paper sky lanterns that have become the best-known image of the festival. There are also hanging lanterns, often called kom phai, which decorate homes and temples rather than rise into the sky. Earthen lamps add yet another layer, especially in temple settings. That range matters because many outsiders reduce Yi Peng to a single object, when in reality it is a festival of many forms of light. And this is exactly what makes the festival different from the simplified social media version. Light is not just released, it is hung, floated, lined, carried, reflected, and arranged across the entire city. Music and performance push the atmosphere further. Depending on the location, there may be traditional dance, drum ensembles, cultural showcases, parades, stage performances, or local pageantry connected to Chiang Mai's municipal programming. Some public festival zones are animated by gentle movement rather than loud spectacle. Dancers in coordinated Lanna dress, drummers holding a slow ceremonial rhythm, processions of lantern carriers, and staged cultural presentations designed as much for local pride as for visitors. Organized ticketed events add another layer, often blending performance, dining, ritualized staging, and synchronized release. But there is another side to this story. The louder or more visible the festival becomes online, the more important the quieter local spaces feel in person. Temple courtyards, candle gardens, side streets, and family moments that never make it into the viral edit. One of the lesser-known facts about modern Yi Peng is that the world-famous lantern image does not mean you can simply light a lantern anywhere in Chiang Mai. Safety rules now shape the experience in a major way. Because sky lanterns can affect aircraft, create fire risk, and generate debris, authorities have enforced designated zones and strict release windows, and downtown lantern releases are heavily controlled. In practice, that means some of the most dramatic mass releases now happen at permitted, organized venues rather than in the middle of the old city. For visitors, this can be surprising. The city still glows with candles, hanging lanterns, parades, and water offerings, but the viral sky scene is often tied to regulated spaces outside restricted zones. Yet most people never notice this part, and it completely changes how Yi Peng works today. Thailand Now, Wikipedia, Thai PBS World. That is why the 2026 festival experience in Chiang Mai may unfold on two tracks at once. One track is the city itself, Old Town light displays, temple visits, candlelit spaces, cultural streets, food stalls, parades, and river activity. The other track is the organized release event, especially for travelers who want the iconic synchronized lantern ascent. The Kedkamloy event, one of the best-known ticketed versions, promotes a structured evening with transport, seating zones, a cultural program, food, traditional performances, and a timed mass release. That does not make it more authentic than the city or less authentic. It makes it a different kind of festival experience, shaped by modern tourism, safety regulation, and global demand for one unforgettable visual climax. In a way, Yi Peng in 2026 is both a heritage festival and a highly managed contemporary event. As evening approaches, Chiang Mai begins its most dramatic visual shift. Daylight softens. The moat darkens into reflective black. Lanterns that look decorative in the afternoon now start to glow. Candle rows become visible one flame at a time. Temples that felt architectural in sunlight begin to feel immersive after dusk, especially where small lamps are arranged in large numbers. Around the Ping River, floating offerings gather on the water and turn the riverbank into a moving line of light. In the old city, the crowd thickens, but the mood often remains surprisingly gentle. People walk slowly. Families stop for photos. Couples hold krathong carefully with both hands. Visitors lift their cameras, then lower them again when the atmosphere becomes too absorbing to treat like content alone. This is where the festival stops being photogenic and starts being physical. At public gathering points, the crowd becomes a living part of the scenery. There are moments of scale, with streets packed shoulder to shoulder near Tha Phi Gate or along festival roads, and moments of intimacy, where a single candle or flower arrangement feels more powerful than the crowd itself. Some areas pulse with movement and sound. Others hold a calmer, more reflective energy. In temple compounds, people may light candles, observe lantern displays, or simply move quietly through the space. Near the river, krathong drift outward in clusters, each one a small moving island of flame, and then, sometimes almost imperceptibly, everyone begins orienting toward the same question. When will the sky begin? That rising tension is part of Yi Peng's structure. The festival knows the audience is waiting for one image, and it uses the whole day to prepare you for it. When the lantern release moment finally arrives at an organized venue, what makes it powerful is not speed but delay. People do not simply light and throw. The paper lantern has to be opened carefully, held correctly, warmed by its fuel cell, and allowed to fill with hot air until it becomes buoyant. That process creates a shared pause across the crowd. Thousands of people stand still, hands raised, paper glowing from within, faces lit from below. And for a brief time, the entire event feels suspended between earth and sky. Then the first lanterns lift, followed by another wave, then another, until the darkness above fills with moving points of light. It is visually overwhelming, but also strangely quiet in feeling, because everyone knows the beauty comes from release, not possession. But the real story does not end at liftoff. The image of lanterns rising is so famous that it can hide everything underneath it. The people still standing below, the candle rows still burning, the volunteers watching for safety, the musicians, the food sellers, the drivers waiting outside, the temple workers cleaning wax and debris later in the night, and the local residents who will wake up to the ordinary city again the next morning. Yi Peng is one of those festivals where the spectacle risks erasing the labor, yet the labor is what makes the spectacle possible. That tension feels especially modern in Chiang Mai, where tourism, photography, heritage, and regulation now shape the festival almost as strongly as tradition does. The beauty is real, but it is also produced, protected, and negotiated every year. There are other details ordinary viewers often miss. Not every lantern is meant to fly. Not every important Yi Peng moment happens at night. Not every local resident goes to a mass release. Some of the most meaningful parts of the festival for Chiang Mai families may be temple visits, candle displays, time together, preparing offerings, or simply walking the old city under decorated streets. Another lesser-known detail is the way color and material work across the festival. White paper lanterns dominate the famous release image, but decorative lanterns in homes and temples can add reds, yellows, oranges, and other tones. Flowers, especially marigolds, lotus, and orchids, change the visual texture again. In documentary terms, Yi Peng is not just a sky event, it is a complete lighting design spread across a city. Its modern relevance is enormous. Yi Peng is now one of Chiang Mai's strongest cultural tourism magnets, and its economic effect reaches far beyond festival vendors. Hotels, airlines, restaurants, transport operators, guides, photographers, costume rentals, and event organizers all benefit from the demand. According to figures summarized in recent reporting, the broader festival period in 2025 generated billions of baht for the local economy, brought in well over 100,000 visitors, and pushed hotel occupancy to extremely high levels. Organized lantern events alone attract large international crowds. That scale explains why Yi Peng matters not just emotionally or culturally, but economically and politically too. The city has to balance preservation, safety, environmental pressure, and tourism revenue all at once. And that balancing act may be one of the defining stories of Yi Peng in the 2020s. For younger generations, that balance may determine the future of the festival. In Chiang Mai today, Yi Peng survives not because it stayed untouched, but because it continues to be remade. Young people learn traditional dance for public performances, help families prepare decorations, volunteer at events, and also experience the festival through phones, live streams, reels, and global audience expectations. Schools, local organizations, temple communities, and tourism bodies all participate in shaping what Yi Peng looks like now. Some protect older forms, some adapt them, some package them, some resist oversimplification. This is not unusual. Many great festivals survive by negotiating change rather than rejecting it. In that sense, Yi Peng is not trapped between tradition and modernity. It is actively composed out of both year after year, lantern after lantern. By the time the night starts to thin out, Chiang Mai feels transformed in a quieter way. The great sky moment has passed. Some lanterns are now distant pinpoints. The river carries away the last visible krathong. Streets that were packed begin to loosen. Food stalls serve their last customers. Candles burn shorter. The crowd becomes less collective and more individual again. Families walking home, tourists replaying footage on their phones, drivers navigating out of event zones. vendors packing up, temple grounds returning to softer silence. And this may be the most honest image of the whole festival. Not the instant when everything rises, but the hour after, when the city absorbs what just happened and slowly becomes itself again, only warmer, dimmer, and slightly altered by shared memory. That is why Yi Peng continues to matter. Not simply because it is beautiful, and not simply because it is famous, but because it still allows a historic northern city to tell a complex story in public, a story about season and place, about Lanna identity and Thai modernity, about symbolism without needing spectacle every second, about tourism that can support heritage and also distort it, about a festival that looks effortless in the sky but is built by countless human hands on the ground. In Chiang Mai, Yi Peng 2026 will once again produce the image the world expects. But if you stay with the story long enough, you realize the lanterns are only the final sentence. The real documentary is everything that had to happen before they rose, and everything the city carries after they disappear.